a video on mushy peas. I made some pea and ham soup with some leftover mushy peas, and I was thinking to myself, we are coming up to Bonfire nights, which is 5th November, and pie and peas is normally quite a traditional thing for people to have on Bonfire night, certainly where I'm from anyway. So I kind of thought it's a good opportunity to show you how to make mushy peas. Mushy peas are not for everyone. I didn't really like them as a child. I thought they were awful. But I can make them taste nice, and personally wouldn't eat them myself now still. But like I'd never kind of crave them. I'd never have them out of choice, but if someone gave me some, I'd eat them out of politeness. And as long as they were made the way I make them, they're very nice. So, dried marrowfat peas, there's 250 grams in there. We need to soak them in hot water overnight, so they plump up and they will double in size. So, plenty of water, just going to soak that water up. I used to put baking soda, baking soda. Is it baking soda? Bicarbonate of soda. That's it. I used to put bicarbonate of soda in as well when I was rehydrating them, but I don't anymore. There's no need. We'll put a little bit of bicarbonate of soda in when we're cooking them. So, if you're not, we've got a spider. If you're not a fan of marrowfat peas, the dried peas, we'll just let the spider crawl over everything. It'll be fine. And I'll let it outside. If you're not a fan of marrowfat peas, I'm also going to do a version with frozen peas, which is even nicer. Come on, you silly spider. I'll take you outside. So, which is even nicer. I've got some ham stock that I'm going to cook those in. But if you haven't got ham stock, we can just use some chicken stock cubes. I'm going to throw chop a couple of onions up. I'm going to cook those in with the peas as well, and they'll be very delicious. However, that's tomorrow because I'm doing this tonight because we need to soak the peas. So they'll be ready in the morning, and I will cook those at work tomorrow. I think that's it. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. 2 versions of mushy peas. Right, mushy peas. So, peas have been soaked and I've drained off the water that soaked them in. Just enough water to barely cover them. We can always add a little bit more. Very difficult to take it away. Come on, stay on, guys. Right, so. And then for 250 grams, there's about 500 grams worth of soaked peas now. So we started off at 250, there's about 500 grams there because they've taken on some water. Want about half a teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda. That stuff. What that will do, that will just help them mush down. So they're going to take about 40 minutes. Bring them up to temperature, and then we'll turn the heat right down and we'll cook them slowly. So, the lid on, and then in this pan, but I'm not just quite ready to cook in the other peas yet. So I've got some ham stock in here, and some. I'm gonna cook the onion in the pan, so some onion that I've already cooked in the pan. So that's the pan we're gonna cook these, but not just yet, because they're not going to take very long to cook at all. So the onion's already in there, and it's ham stock, which is going to flavour peas and make them delicious. If you haven't got any ham stock, obviously I have, because I've been cooking hams, a chicken stock cube is fine. So keep an eye on that. It's got a habit of boiling over, so you've just got to be a bit careful until it comes up to temperature. So lid back on with that, and then we'll boil the peas in that water when we need it, drain it off, puree them, season them, and they'll be delicious. That's when it's come up to temperature. So turn it down now, and then we'll just leave those to solid cook for. We'll give them 15-20 minutes, and then we'll look at them again and see how they're doing. But it'll probably take about 40 minutes, something like that. Right, so we just need to keep an eye on them because they're starting to soften, but they're in danger of a lot of the water evaporating off. So we just need to top it up with a little bit more water. not putting any salt in at the moment. What the salt will do is it'll toughen up the peas, and it'll make sure that they take a lot longer to cook if there's salt in the water. This is also the danger if you decide that you're actually going to cook the peas into marrowfat peas in ham stock. It's going to take a lot longer to cook, so there is that kind of danger. You will get some more flavour into them with a ham stock or some salt, but it's just going to take a lot longer to cook. And because they're basically going to be a puree, any seasoning we can add afterwards, and it'll instantly take on that flavour of salt or stock, or a stock cube, or some like ham stock to water it down. But there we go. So keep an eye on it. Been on for about 20 minutes. Top the water up a couple of times. There's a danger if the lid's on that it wants to boil over, which is not what you want, because it makes a mess of everything. And I don't like cleaning cookers at the best of times. So keep an eye on it. It's starting to go mushy. You can see that we can press them on the side of the pan, and they're starting to want to go mushy. Not just quite yet. So carry on cooking, and we'll be another 10 or 15 minutes, something like that. Right, peas are now mushy. So generous no butter, about 25, 30 grams, something like that. Now we can add the salt and a bit of sugar. And give it a stir. And then we'll give it a taste, see if it needs a bit more salt and sugar. It won't need any more butter, but just have to be wary that it's salted butter that I've used, so there'll be a little bit of salt flavour in that. So I should maybe use a spoon rather than sticking my finger in. Wow, that needs a bit more salt. A bit more sugar. Plenty of butter in, so that's fine. Give the salt and sugar time to melt into the mushy peas. There we go, spot on. There you go. That's how you make proper marrowfat mushy peas. After the boiling, peas in with the lid on, and cook until the peas are tender. Do we need some more? I think so, yeah, so plenty of peas. There we go. 2.5 kilos, I think that is. Yeah, that'll be plenty. And then a rapid boil until they're tender. Right, so they're coming up to the boil. I've tasted them. They're delicious because of the ham stock. And they're almost tender. So we'll give it a couple of minutes on a high boil, just to make sure they're the cheap ones from the supermarket. So just to make sure, because you can't taste every single one, but the big ones taste good. We just want to give them a couple of minutes boil. Right, they've had a couple of minutes hard boil. They're now lovely and tender, so we need to get them out of the ham stock. I'm going to save the ham stock because I'm going to use it in some soup. It's because the ham stock will have taken all the flavour from the peas and the onions and vice versa, so it'll make a lovely soup with that ham stock. Mutual beneficial. It won't be as flavourful as it originally was because it'll have given some flavour to the peas and vice versa, but it still will be nice and tasty. And And sometimes if a ham stock can be a little bit too salty, but cooking vegetables in them just takes that saltiness away from the ham stock. Now, we want to drain this as much as possible. We don't want any excess liquid in there. Probably could have done with a little bit more onion. If I wasn't using ham stock, I'd use chicken stock cubes, and whatever the chicken stock cube, how many chicken stock cubes it said to use for a litre. So if it's like on the packet it said 2 chicken stock cubes per litre, I'd use 4 chicken stock cubes per litre of water, just to kind of get that more intense, salty, savoury, chickeny flavour into the peas. It won't be too salty, don't worry about it. So then, peas into there, these out of the way, and then my big blender, because the little blender won't stretch. So, quick taste. A little bit of salt. Just a little bit. I'm not going to put any butter in like I did with the Marrowfat peas, because these are the garden peas and they've got a fresher flavour to them. So, we'll mix that in. Absolutely spot on. So, if you're not a fan of Marrowfat peas, garden pea, mushy pea is the way to go. And it tastes entirely different. Well, not entirely different, it still tastes like peas, but it's not that Marrowfat mushy pea flavour. There we go. How to make 2 different mushy peas in the same video. Mix around. There we go. I reckon a kilo of peas will give you about 10 portions, I reckon.